This video is all about images and headlines that we've not found on Spy Tools. So this is when we're going to start using our own creativity to create our own headlines, but also create our own images or find them elsewhere where people are not already running them on native adverts. And this is where we're going to get the edge over other affiliates and be ahead of the curve. So there's lots of different places. We'll start with images. There's lots of different places that you can find images from. So let's say, for instance, just for this example, we are going to do the tinnitus product, and we've ripped some images from the Spy Tools. Now we want to find some of our own. There's a few little tips and tricks of finding them and creating them that I'm going to go through now. So first of all, the main place where most people would go is go to Google. You can do, and I still do this. So if you're doing a product about tinnitus, then most people might come to Google and type in tinnitus and then see what images pop up. Let's just have a look what pops up. And this might give you some ideas of images that might work. And when we're doing our images for native ads, what seems to work best is amateur style images. So you don't really want to be choosing like stock looking images. So this looks a little bit too professional, looks a bit like an advert image. So you wouldn't go for them. You want to find stuff that looks less polished, more amateur. And you can kind of have a look down here. But what you really need to start doing, you won't really find great images just by searching the thing. You need to start thinking of different angles, like I mentioned earlier, or just thinking outside the box. So if you're thinking of a tinnitus thing, you kind of want to be implying with your angle that there's some kind of solution to tinnitus, which is like a DIY solution. That's what seems to be the angle here. So I'd think about whatever angle I've decided to go for, and then try and find images like that. So people putting bottles in ears seems okay, but we want to go a little bit away from that. So it might be something like, it might be like tape on ears. And we might be able to find people that have like put some tape on their ears, and it might almost look that it's some kind of DIY solution to tinnitus, just to get the click this is initially. And then like this here. So this is an image which might be suitable. Someone's got cotton wool in their ear with a bit of tape on it, and if you saw that with a headline like do this if you've got tinnitus to stop ear ringing, you're going to be like, whoa, click on it. And yes, that's not the solution. So then on the landing page, that's when you need to actually go, well, here's the solution. But that's quite a curiosity based image, looks quite amateur, looks quite DIY. So I'd add that to my bank, and I'd save that for later on for running the campaign. Now, obviously, copying images from Google, you need to be careful for copyright. But if you're using amateur images, you're usually okay. Okay, you can come up here to Tools and click on Usage Rights, and then click on like Creative Commons licenses, and that means you can reuse those images. So there's some images there. There's not as many images, obviously, but you can kind of find images that are okay to use, or you can use them. It's up to you whether you want to use other people's images. I'll leave that entirely up to you. Another place that you can look for images that are free to use is like a stock site. You can get paid stock sites, so you can get free stock sites. This is called pixabay.com. It's free. It's like where photographers put images up. These are slightly more professional, so they might look a little bit too much like an advert or like a stock image. So you can kind of be a bit careful with using these. But let's just say, for instance, type in ear just to see what comes up. You see these are a little bit too professional, but you can sometimes find like amateurish looking ones. Like that one looks okay, a little bit more amateur-y, that might work. And you can find other things and just have a scroll round. What also works well, that's a random one, that might work well, you never know. What also works well is vector images. So like drawing, like images like this that look like drawings. They can work well on native ads, and I showed you that foot one earlier, which was actually an image like a vector image of swollen feet. So you can maybe find one here by searching like ear pain, and you might be able to find an image that could work well. I wouldn't go too far with these types of images because they still can look a little bit like adverts, but if you add one into the mix, it's definitely worth testing if you kind of want to spice it up a little bit and find something that other people aren't already using. Other ways of finding images, I want to show you this here, because what you can do, this is from a completely different campaign that I was running for a Wi-Fi booster that I was testing out. And this basically is an image that I took myself at home. And I got my Wi-Fi router and I put some tin foil around the cable at the back, took a picture of me with a finger pointing towards it. And that's just an example of like, that looks almost like it could be a hack. So it was like the headline, I think, for that was like, man discovers simple hack to boost Wi-Fi. And then it was like tinfoil around that with my finger pointing. And then someone sees that, they're like, what is it? And they click on it, and the hack is actually that I'm using a Wi-Fi booster. But that gets the initial click of the right person to actually click on the advert and actually read your landing page. So it is good if you can kind of create the images yourself. If you're doing like e-commerce products on native ads, it's good to get the product yourself and actually take pictures of it yourself. If you can do that and kind of make them look more amateur just on your phone, works really well. Another little way of doing it as well, which I just want to show you this is quite funny. So I was running a campaign about an energy bill saving CPA style offer on native ads. I was testing it out in the UK, and I wanted someone to be happy holding up a bill, but I couldn't actually find it because I wanted to be like, this person saved this much money on their bill. Couldn't find it. So what I eventually found was this image of someone that was angry that they'd been overcharged. And then I used Face App on my phone, just like a random app on the phone, which you can get for free. And then turned it into a smile, the woman smiling. So that worked. So what I'm trying to show you is that you can be a bit creative with it, and you can kind of edit the images yourself if you know Photoshop skills, or even go into Canva, and you might want to change a few things or add some things in. Sometimes I added a pencil pointing to something once on an image. That works quite well. And you can just be creative with it, and you just want to test things, because when you're doing images, you never know what's going to work. If you look at some of the ones that are successful here, like, you might not think that this random thing of like beetroot or whatever it is would work, but it's an image which you see a lot of the time, so they can work quite well.